I'm so excited. Today we're talking about plants. Plants make me so happy. Hello guys, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today, I'm very excited, I'm very energetic. I've had 2 coffees. Love that, also don't love that for me. Today, I'm talking about one of my favorite things to talk about, and that is plants. If you know me, I will legit talk about plants in the middle of a club, on the street, on the side of the road, on the highway, at McDonald's, at your best friend's cousin house. I will literally just talk to anyone about plants. Sorry in advance if I talk to you about plants and you don't care. But today I thought that I would sit down and give you guys some of my beginners tips, I guess, or just some of my top tips for getting into plants and looking after plants. If you currently have plants and you're interested in gaining a few tips or getting a bit inspired about what to do with your plants, then this video is for you. And if you're also interested in getting into plants, I think you'll really enjoy this video as well. Even if you're none of the above, I think you'll enjoy this video. Unless you hate plants, and in that case, click off the video right now. I don't really know what is happening here. Like, it's kind of cold right now in Brisbane, but it's also kind of not. So I've just like half got a jacket on. It's a little bit annoying, so let's just ignore that that happened. And without further ado, let's jump in and get started with the video. So my number 1 tip for getting into plants or having plants is knowing your environment. So knowing the types of environments you have to put plants into. For example, are there lots of windows? Do you get lots of natural light? Is your house actually quite dark? Do you maybe get the morning sun but you don't get afternoon sun? Those kind of things you'll probably learn are very, very important to plants. Different plants like different conditions, which makes sense. They're just like humans. We all have different environments we need to thrive. And so when you're going to get plants, I think it's super important to know, you know, if you've got a particular space, say for example, if I wanted to put a plant right here, you know what the environment is kind of like. It is quite bright during the day, but it doesn't get direct sunlight, that kind of thing. Number 2, this is a really, really helpful thing to do, is research plants before you go buy them. And I don't mean like, you know, you have to have the exact one picked out, or, you know, you don't need to know exactly where you're getting it from or whatever, but just the general type of plant. It's really helpful to know what that plant likes and what kind of environment it would best suit. It also just helps, so when you go to like a nursery or a plant market or like Bunnings or something, you kind of know a bit about what you're talking about if you do ask for help or ask for their advice, because they are super, super helpful, especially people in nurseries. I find that a lot of people in nurseries either just really like plants or tend to have a lot of knowledge about plants. I've gone to nurseries before when some of my plants are struggling or the leaves are doing something funny, and I'll just like take a leaf to them and like ask for their opinion and talk to them about plants. I find that they're super helpful like that. Number 3 is probably a given, but some people may not know this. When you're actually plant shopping, avoid plants that have either spotting on the leaves or are drooping, so their leaves are kind of like hanging down. You would be surprised how many plants there are for sale that like the plants aren't healthy. So you can buy them with like diseases, you can buy them when they're really, really struggling. So if you don't look after them, they're probably going to die. But for example, brown spotting on leaves can mean a few different things. One thing that it can mean, there's not enough drainage, so the water's getting stuck in like the bottom of the pot, or it could mean that it's getting overwatered and it's kind of drowning a little bit. But I myself, I've even bought a huge fiddle leaf that had a disease, and recently I got rid of the disease, but I've had it for like a year. I don't know, it was kind of doing well, but it also kind of wasn't. So yeah, it's really important to look out for that kind of stuff if you are planning on buying a plant, because it might not be the smartest idea to bring home a sick plant. Number 4 is like a general rule of thumb, and it's that the darker the leaves, like so the darker green the leaves are, the hardier the plant is. There are some things that that's not true for, but generally that is true. So if they've got really, really dark and intense green leaves. Often they're pretty hard and like stable plant. Number 5, this is a biggie. So when you buy the plant, it normally is in a nursery pot, but sometimes people like to put them in a pot. That's what I normally do. I'll like transfer them to a nice pretty pot. And if you do get another pot for your plant, get one with drainage holes. So there's just holes in the bottom so that water can go straight through. A lot of pots don't have that, and if they don't have that, it's so easy to get root rot, where the water just sits in the bottom and rots the soil and the roots of the plant, and the plant dies. So drainage is a super important one, especially if you're new to plants. It's just a lot easier to have a pot that has holes in it so that the water doesn't go funky. You can put rocks in the bottom of pots that like don't have drainage holes so that the plant's not just sitting in a pool of water. Sometimes things can go wrong and then they do get root rot. So it's just easier if you just get one with drainage holes. Number 6 is a lot easier said than done, but it is don't overwater your plants. This is probably the biggest reason that people kill their plants. Because you just want to love them so much and you just want to keep giving them water so that they can thrive and love their life. But especially like now in Brisbane, it is winter, well, when I'm filming this, and plants need a lot less water in winter than they do in summer. In summer it's often a lot drier and they dry out a lot quicker, and I often water my plants a lot more in summer, whereas winter plants kind of slow down, I guess. That's like the best way that I can explain it. A lot of my plants I probably water roughly every 10 days. I mainly just have indoor plants. I have outdoor plants which get watered a bit more than that, but I'm kind of just referring to the indoor plants. A lot of them don't really need a big water or anything. I'll just give them a huge big water every 10 days roughly, where I just water them until water comes out of the drainage holes, so I know that the water's gotten all throughout the pot. You're good to go. Number 7 is kind of similar to something I said before, but put your plants in an area that is suited to them. Don't put a plant that likes a lot of light in a dark hidden black room, because it's probably not going to do very well. Plants do kind of adapt to their environment, but some are a lot more temperamental than others. When I first bought my fiddle leaf, I had like a spot right beside my bed where I wanted to put it, and it was over here, so it was like kind of like this spot right beside the window, and it got a fair bit of filtered light and stuff, but it just wasn't thriving, wasn't really liking that space. And I was really confused because I was like, that's where most people put their fiddle leaves, like they like to be right next to a window. And anyway, then I was reading one day about how they really like humidity. Someone had theirs in their bathroom, and my bathroom, I have a skylight, so it does get filtered sunlight, but it's also quite humid because I have hot showers, and now my fiddle leaf is thriving and it's loving it. So it takes a bit of time to see what they like and what they don't like. Number 8 is turning your plants every now and then so the sunlight, or just the light in general, gets to the whole plant. Sometimes if you don't move your plant around, like you don't have to move it very often, just maybe like once a week or something, just turn the pot a little bit. But if you just leave it there, you'll probably find that one side grows a lot more leaves, or the plant just isn't like symmetrical in a way. It kind of like is all on this side and there's like not much on that side. I hope that makes sense. Just a very helpful tip to keep your plants looking fresh. Now number 9, I definitely did kind of talk about before, but I wanted to talk about brown spotting on the leaves, because a lot of plants will use this to show you how it's feeling, and it generally means that it's being overwatered or there's poor drainage. So always check those two. Sometimes also if a plant is like drooping, it can mean that it's outgrown its pot. I just recently learned this. My peace lily was in a pot that was pretty big and it was thriving, and then all of a sudden its leaves started drooping, so I was watering it a bit more and it just wasn't loving it. And one day I happened to check the bottom drainage hole and the roots were all coming out of the drainage hole, which means it's outgrown its pot. So I went, bought a new pot, and now it's fine. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. Now, number 10 is really, really important. Sometimes it's nice for your plants to have a bit of outdoor time. That's just kind of their environment, I guess. Give them some fresh air, give them a bit of a change of environment, I guess, but be careful not to put them in the sun. I did this when I first got into plants. I went to go put a plant outside so that it would like freshen up a little bit, and I accidentally put it in the sun, zapped its leaves, and it's never been the same since. So I pop it outside in the shade somewhere similar to like its normal environment, but yeah, just don't like put it in direct sunlight and leave it there for 4 days because it'll get burnt. So that is all of the tips that I have for you guys. I thought I'd also give kind of like my recommendations for the best plants to first get in your plant collection. I really recommend a peace lily or a devil's ivy. They're also called a golden pothos. A snake plant is super hardy, or a rubber plant. Those are like my top 4. If you guys are interested in like getting into plants, or yeah, you'd like to add one and see how you go, those are probably my top tips. You can do a bit of research, see which one you like, but yeah, never be afraid to like ask people at plant shops questions. Like even if you're not sure if that plant will be suited to that environment, it never hurts to ask. I have like become so obsessed with plants. I know that plants are very like trendy at the moment, but I just enjoy learning about them and like learning about different kinds of plants, what they like, what they don't like, and like reading books about them. Like plants are just so interesting and fascinating to me. I love them a lot, as you can probably tell from this video. I've been so excited. But that is all I have to share with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and would like to, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel because I will talk about more plants in other videos. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye! But I wish I could rewind, baby.